I have all this extra time now since I closed my restaurant, and I find that what I'm enjoying doing most is thinking. Like, for the first time in my life, I'm not hunkered down in this world of food financial anxiety running a restaurant, and I find that all kinds of thoughts are percolating around in my head. And I guess, first of all, I should confess to you that I'm not a foodie. I'm a food geek. The difference is I have a voracious appetite for food knowledge, and I've been this way since I was about 8. I don't know why. And I'm incredibly lucky because I have this amazing job where I get to talk to everybody about everything that has to do with food. And so over the years, having those 6,000 plus conversations about all aspects of the food system allows you to make connections. And one of the biggest connections and frustrations I have about food is the choir, all of you. I love you so much. But it would be really nice if we could all learn to harmonize to other people in other locations in a wider way. And so I think a lot about how to expand the choir. And one of the ways I've found myself doing this is by being on the Los Angeles Food Policy Task Force, which is an incredible opportunity because it means that once a month I sit in a room with about 100 people. I'm just like a fly on the wall, listening, because I'm like the, quote, communicator. Everybody else has these really amazing nonprofit jobs, and they deal with water and land use and mobile vending and health and obesity and permitting and everything that happens in an urban environment as it pertains to how people access food. And you see the synergy that happens in a room when all of a sudden people are out of their little silos and they're actually in a room talking to each other, and how much synergy is created by just two people having to pass each other in a hallway and saying, oh, that's what you do? Oh, this is what I do. Oh, we should get together over coffee and talk about something. And boom, all of a sudden, some strange permitting feature in Los Angeles that's so arcane gets left over like it was nothing after many, many years. So one of the projects that I've been working on in and out over the last 4 years is this little nonprofit that's a spin-off of a gaming company. It's called Dville. And one of the reasons I'm so involved and I love Dville so much is I think the only way to solve these really long-range food system problems is to raise a generation of kids that have a deep, holistic understanding of where food sits in the world. Food is this incredible prism of everything, of culture, of history, of the environment, of science, of art. And, like Casey was saying, it's also something that mediates our environment. We are literally what we eat. Right now, I don't know about you, but I don't really feel like being Cowschwitz. I don't feel like being a piece of meat that's sat in its own filth before it was processed. And these are the kinds of decisions that we have to make all the time. And we're lucky, those of us in this room. We know we have that choice to make, and we have the information. There are a lot of people who don't have that information, have no way of getting that information, and to whom that information might be off-putting or threatening. So kids are great. Kids are like crack for somebody like me. So I'm going to give you some numbers. I wish I could tell you that it was 7,200 strawberries that fell from the sky into the mouths of hungry school children, or that it was 1.2 million moments of garden pleasure, or $3.1 trillion that the federal government was going to use to create, a sustainable nirvana for all of us, so we didn't have to worry about how much health care is costing us. But instead, I'm going to talk a little bit about children. Not only have we become a fairly unhealthy society, we've created a bunch of children that are really unengaged and very, very, very complex subject that has a lot of cost. Here in Los Angeles, well, not in Los Angeles County, but I'm going to pretend. In Los Angeles County, 1 in 4 children under the age of 18 goes to bed hungry every night. 1 in 4 in Los Angeles County. It's a very, very scary time. So no wonder kids can't learn and are so unengaged. So the trick is, how do you get kids to be engaged? Well, one of the things that you can do is use the tools they love and that they're using all the time anyway. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Dville. Dville is the nonprofit project that was created by some friends of mine who created a really powerful gaming architecture. Dville's a place where culinary meets gardens, meets the world, meets the bliss of a child. It's a place where we can encourage kids to play, connect, and transform using the tools that they're familiar with, but pushing them out into the real world. So it's a learning tool that looks like a game. It's a mentor-student connector. The mentor can be a teacher, a garden leader, a community leader, a parent. It looks just like a social network. And it's an incredible tool for transformation that can bring together members of the community who meet virtually, but then actually act out in the real world. So how do you play? You just pick a subject, you add people, and you let them play. People are really good at playing when you give them an opportunity. Unfortunately, Dville, we haven't had a chance to do our first beta yet. We're talking now to various places. Anybody who knows a school who would love to partner with us, we need schools. We're talking now to San Diego, Temecula, small school systems, but we're interested in charters too. What I'm going to show you now is a history game. So I need you to make that leap of imagination to think about, what if all of these speakers that just spoke before I did were involved in Dville and created missions? So what it does, it allows students to take an external subject like history and make it their story. It's the first mission-based, mission meaning things that you have to do in the real world, not online, socially networked learning game for teenagers. And the thing that's really amazing is if this picture looks familiar to you, of any kids you know, or perhaps yourself, if you are like me, the thing that I love about this game is that it uses all of these things to engage kids, but move them out into the real world space. So what happens is the school gets involved, a teacher decides to sign on. Let's say it's a history teacher, but it's Dville, not flashback. And kids start to sign up, they put on their profiles, they create teams within the classroom, or maybe each classroom is its own team. The missions go up. The missions are as easy to create as a teacher sitting in a room, just coming up with an idea. Like, I'd love to hear the missions that, that Casey and Mark would come up with. A mission could be, take a vegetable you really hate and create a commercial to convince yourself to eat it. So one of the most moving things I heard about this particular game that blew me away and made me want to sort of brainstorm a way to deal with the food system in this way was the story of a kid who chose, his mission was, this is a kid who sat in a class, a high school class. It was like a 10th or 11th grader. The teacher had never heard him speak, had never heard him utter a word in class. He sat in the back of the class, his hoodie up, never talked, didn't engage with other students. One of the missions was write your own national anthem. So imagine you're a teacher in a class in an urban part of San Francisco. You've never heard this kid speak, and this gets posted on your missions page in your classroom. How blown away would you be? That is the power of the kind of technology that we have today to engage children. And the thing about food is that food is everything. Food is as many subjects as you want to talk about. And the place for it to all play out so powerfully is the garden. To use the school garden as a spring form to every subject that you could possibly imagine. As many teachers, as many types of courses that are being taught in a school, you can use the garden and food as a way to allow a kid to find their own bliss and express themselves. So once a mission's been done, it becomes a deed. So this was from a game called Interrobang that was a collaboration with the Smithsonian. And Interrobang was just about getting out in the world and having curiosity and learning new things. So one of the missions was explore your food shed, go to a supermarket, and go to a farmer's market. Look at 10 different varieties of vegetables and fruits from each, and come back and tell us what you thought. And so these kids went out, they did it, they wrote a whole report and with photographs about how unengaging the supermarket was, how they couldn't get answers from anybody about anything, how the minute they stepped into a farmer's market where they had never been before, it was like they were embraced and taken on a journey. So the very first beta of this particular game started really small. These were the set of people that started it. We thought maybe at the end of the 2 weeks we'd have 300 completed missions. There were 1,100, and the really incredible thing was that teachers completed almost 70 of them. They got so into it. There were over 200,000 page views, and the average time spent on the site is 20 minutes. And for people who are involved in service learning games, you know that 20 minutes spent on a site at one time is like huge. Of course, they said it was more interesting than class. But more importantly, teachers loved it because it provides them an opportunity to create really, really engaging curriculum. And the whole back end of the game where mentors get to help one another, where the same mission that's thought of in Santa Monica can be used in New York, it prevents a scale to this type of curriculum that becomes very powerful for the people who are out there doing this with very little resources. It's mobile. And again, pick a subject. Any one of these subjects you could talk about through the school garden and through food. You could add physics, anything you can think of. But let's think of agroecology, the place where agriculture and ecology meet. I love that. So you can create a whole system of missions out in the real world. It's infinite. Everybody who spoke today, everybody in the audience, you could all write missions. We could get together, have a mission writing, charrette. And the kind of connections that are made become incredibly powerful. Kids can go out into the community, and there are so many people who are willing to help. AmeriCorps loves our game. They love the idea of Dville. They have committed to actually providing the muscle and resources to build gardens, to build school gardens and urban farms. For people who are out there in the nonprofit world actually trying to create these settings for adults or children, you know how hard it is to bring a set of volunteers together. Well, to have an organization like AmeriCorps behind you to just come and sort of catalyze everyone is just a gift. And Food Corps, which is misspelled, it's corpse. Like AmeriCorps, it should be Food Corps. Food Corps is a new organization that was formed last year, and we hope to bring them in as sort of mission central, as a hotbed of mission creating activity. So through this really fun way of learning using technology, but out in the real world, we can have really profound effect on the lives of kids and how they then relate to food their entire lives. And that's what we need. We need to make food wholesome again. We need to understand the holistic nature of what food is in our lives. And anybody who's interested in helping me turn this dream into reality, I'd love to talk to you. Thank you.